Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Have another Transformers Titans Return review for you today. This is Deluxe SkullSmasher with Grax, which is the name of his headmaster. Now, in G1, he was called Skull Cruncher, and I'm not sure if they couldn't get the rights to that, or maybe they thought it was too violent, or I don't know, SkullSmasher doesn't seem that much better to me. But they have gone ahead and trademarked SkullSmasher, so I guess that's what he will be for the foreseeable future. Not a whole lot going on with the packaging on the bottom or the sides, but taking a look at the back, shows where you can ride inside. You have robot mode, alt mode, headmaster. Again, it shows the different size classes. And then if we try to take a look at the, see if I can get this to focus there. The Decepticons unite with Titan Master partners to power up for battle. Grax masks the energy signature of the bot he's bonded to, making SkullSmasher invisible to the Autobots. So that's cool. I guess all the Headmasters have, or Titan Masters have different special powers. That's pretty neat. So we will go ahead, we will get this guy out of the packaging, and we will take a closer look. Alright, so here's SkullSmasher out of the packaging. I'm probably going to end up calling him Skull Cruncher at some point just because that's what I'm used to. That was his G1 name. So if I do, just know I mean SkullSmasher. So this is what you get. You get the croc head, which starts out detached from the figure in the packaging. In the G1, the head was very large and the headmaster actually sat in the head of the alligator. That is not the case here. This head does open though, and you can see he's got a really cool tongue in there. Try to get a little bit closer. I think that's a really cool tongue, though. Kind of metal looking. So I think it's a really nice croc head. Nice Decepticon symbol on the top. So basically you're going to take him, zoom back out, and there's a big ball joint right here. You're just going to pop this right on there. And that's how that connects to the figure. The other thing you get here, this is going to be the tail in Gator mode, but also the Titan Master can sit there, which we'll take a look at. Comes with his gun, which can peg right into there, which we'll also take a look at in a minute. And then, of course, he comes with his trading card, SkullSmasher. Here are his tech specs. If that'll focus, there we go. So, mostly strong, not so much in the brains or speed, but pretty cool little card, nice and solid, thick cardboard there, nice and smooth too. So I'm going to put that aside. So taking a look here, you can put the gun in either hand, of course, fits in very nicely and easily. He looks good wielding it. This thing, there's a peg right here, so you can put it in his hand like that, maybe use it as some kind of shield or something. You can take it out of his hand, I think. Come on. Jeez. Then you can flip this part down. There's a secondary handle on the back. So you could have him hold it like this, and that way once the Titan Master is sitting in it, you could have him hold it like that if you want. Personal preference, whatever you would like to do with that. But yeah, he looks pretty good. The other mistransformation out of the packaging is he does have little feet. So you just have to reach here and just pop these down. I don't know why they're giving me such trouble. There we go. So he's got little nub feet there. But it looks pretty good. Now, as you can see, the one major problem, and it seems like it's a QC issue for a lot of people, the hips are really loose. He starts to look, he's doing the limbo. He's in a limbo contest. I don't know why. I don't know why they're so loose. Mine, actually, the thigh swivel is really loose on the left leg. The right leg seems to be fine. I mean, he can still stand. You can get him to stand on his own. I just don't know why, like, if you were to, like, rock him back, he's going to just fall like that. So, that's a bummer. I know a lot of people have done, like, a little bit of nail polish. You can just kind of pop this off, put a clear coat or nail polish on there, and that's going to give it a little bit more grip. And then peg it back on, and that should shore it up. So that's up to you if you want to go that route. Like I said, it's just weird. I don't know if it's just because he's so back heavy. You know, maybe they're just like not the best hips, but they wouldn't be so bad if he didn't have this weight up here. I'm not really sure. But articulation-wise, I mean, he's got a nice bit of articulation. Of course, the head can swivel from side to side because of the joint in the Titan Master. You've got a swivel here where you can see the screw hole in the shoulder. And then, of course, there's a ball joint where this arm actually connects to that. You have 90 degrees in the elbow, and then you have a swivel right where the pink meets the green. And then you have the hand. Now, that really just folds in because of the transformation. But, you know, there's no wrist articulation other than that. Waist articulation, you have the swivel here again for the transformation, but he can go from side to side. Again, you have the really loose ball joint for the hip. Then you have a thigh swivel. Then you have pretty much 90 degrees at the knee there. And then you kind of have a secondary knee joint where the green meets the pink. And that, I assume, is for the transformation, but I'm not sure. And then again, the little feet just fold in, so I wouldn't really call that articulation, but they can move, technically. But I mean, overall, I think he looks good. The color scheme's great. Looks very much like the G1 character. He does have nice heels, which I appreciate. Like, basically, this whole section here is going to be heels. So he can stand fairly decently. It's just a matter of the loose hips and the weight of the croc head on his back. But I mean, you can see once you get him to stand, he's fairly solid. So I do appreciate that. Popping off the headmaster. Take a closer look at him. Focus, there we go. He looks pretty good. I like it. I wish his eyes were a different color. That's my only gripe. I wish they weren't the same color as the rest of his head, but not a big deal. I think like some pink or green eyes would have been cool. Transforming him, I like the color scheme here. I think the green and this kind of, it's like a blackish brown. I can't really tell exactly what color it is, but it's showing up more brown on camera than I feel like it is in person. But it's nice. I like the color scheme on him a lot. He's a very cool little Titan Master. So transform him back. Whoop. And then pop him back on. Very simple to connect them. I do like that about this line. Because back when they, I guess Voyager Brainstorm was their kind of trial run. And he was very difficult to get in and out at times. So they really fixed that for this line. Again, this does not open like it did with the G1 figure. That's just molded in there. But it looks great. Overall, I think the paint and the molding and everything looks really good. I do like the look of the figure. It's just the QC issue with the hips. But I think you can fix that, like I stated. Some nice paint there as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the transformation. Alright, so getting into his transformation, basically you can take the gun and just go ahead and peg it in here. And you can push that all the way down. You can see that's kind of going to form the tip of the tail. You can pretty much just sit this off to the side then for a minute. You're going to come up here, you're going to pop the headmaster out. Go ahead and fold the hands into the forearms there, pretty simple. Then you can go ahead and bring these down. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to bring this up, but you're going to kind of turn it as you go. And basically, these don't really peg in up here, but what you're going to do is there's these two tabs on the top of the croc head, and they're going to need to peg in right here. So you kind of just have to play with this until it lines up. I mean, I guess they kind of lose. It feels like there's a little groove and there's a tab, but I wouldn't say they peg in. Like there's kind of, let me see if I can get in closer. There's this kind of like long groove here, and this tab kind of goes in it, but not really. And then you just bring this whole thing around, and that's going to peg in. That's where you're really going to get the peg in, is when the croc head pegs into the two shoulders right there and there. Let me zoom out a little bit. So then you're going to just kind of bring this around and rotate this just to kind of get the croc hands into position. So the front of it's pretty much done. You're just going to come to the back and clip these together. I find it's easier to clip these together first, and then you're just going to pop the feet in. Very simple there. I find it's easier to pop the legs in there before you rotate it up. than trying to do it after the fact. They kind of come unpegged. That's the only... These don't hold together super well. It's not terrible, it's just not super. But then once you get that going, you can see that that forms the back of the crock. Very simple there. And then you can bring your tail back in and just peg hole, pop it right on. Very simple. And then you can just kind of, these were kind of pegged against. You can just kind of bring them out a little bit just to give more of the crock feel. So we zoom in. But overall, I think it's a pretty good crock mode. Nice long tail, and you can kind of make it go from side to side because it's just on that peg right there. Mouth opens nicely. You get a lot of good range of motion out of the head. Side to side, up and down. Opens really wide. I think that looks good. So all in all, pretty decent crock mode. Now, this piece here is going to be where you put the Titan Master. That's popping off. See, the problem is, because this is two pieces together, when the legs have a tendency to pop out a little bit, they want to pop this off the back, but hopefully it should stay. Anyway, getting back to this piece, this is kind of a soft, not ridiculously soft, but definitely a softer plastic than the rest of this. I'm assuming this was done because they needed something to be flat, and I think they must have thought if they made a hard piece of plastic this flat, it would be too brittle and it might crack. Or because, you know, this is an exact rectangle that this has to fit into, they thought it would crack. And because the way when this is in robot mode, this has to fold over, it couldn't really be too bulky. I'm assuming something like that had to lead to it being made a softer piece than anything else. It's not a problem right now. I'm just afraid in the long run, it's not going to stand the test of time. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. But there's a very deep opening there, so you can actually take the Titan Master and make him sit like this. And then he can drop right in there and close it up. And again, because it's a weird soft plastic, it kind of doesn't... Once you get it closed, it works, but it's just not the best. I really wish they could have figured out a better way to do that. I would have loved for this actually to be a clear canopy piece, like the on Hardhead, the little tank cockpit. I would have loved for this to be a translucent piece, but I guess they can't do translucent soft plastic. So that's probably, besides the loose hips, that's probably my second complaint. Everything else is good. I like the croc mode. I think the head's done well. You know, the legs they look good. You don't really have a lot of motion with them, but I don't feel you really need it for a crocodile. I mean, he swims or he, you know, walks fast. You can simulate that without really having foot movement. You don't really need that. The tail comes unpegged a little bit, but it's not terrible. It's not a big deal. But yeah, overall, I like the croc mode. Just the little canopy thing there is a little weird. So I just wanted to show off real quick this last little bit of functionality. Obviously, I've popped the tail off, and I've taken the gun out of there. When you put the gun all the way down for the gator mode, it's a little difficult to get out. But luckily, there's kind of this nice ledge here, so you can kind of get your finger in under here and pop it out that way, because it is pretty tight in there. But you can go ahead and take the Titan Master and have him sit in here. To get him to sit all the way, you kind of have to raise his hands. If I can get that to go. There we go. So pop him right in there, and then you can put the gun back in. I wouldn't push it all the way down for this mode. And then again, it just looks like a little turret. And again, you can bring this down, and then if you have a base or another guy you want to wield this, it can fit in anyone's hand, or it's going to be able to fit on the bases. And you can make a little turret with Titan Master manning the gun. So I like that little bit of functionality. I think that's pretty cool. Again, if you're going to push this all the way in, you can see it's really tight and pops all the way down. But you can get your finger under here to get it out. And then pop this back on the croc. So I think that's pretty cool. I always like how they have the extra functionality with the turret mode. So I appreciate that little bit, and I can't wait to get one of the base transformers so I can start to integrate all this stuff together. So I think SkullSmasher is a fun figure. It just obviously has the problem with the hips, but I think that's something that you can fix with a little bit of nail polish or something like that. That's the major glaring QC issue with this figure. There's also the kind of secondary problem with the canopy or cockpit cover being the loose plastic. I don't know if that was needed, but I'm also not a toy engineer, so maybe it was. Maybe they tried a hard plastic at first, and maybe it just didn't, cut the mustard, so to say. So I don't know. Do I think this guy is as amazing as Hardhead? No. Do I hate it? Absolutely not. I definitely think it's a fun figure. I love the color scheme. It's very indicative of the G1 character. I think it looks great. If they figure out a way to fix the hips, I can definitely live with the cockpit cover as long as it doesn't degenerate over time. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. The hips are really the glaring problem, but like I said, once I can get him to stand, he doesn't fall over, so that's good at least. It's just a little bit annoying while you're moving him around and playing with him, but I definitely think it's a fun figure. I still recommend picking it up. You just have to know about those things going into it, and I think they won't bother you as much as if, you can prepare yourself for it and it's not as big of a deal. Maybe wait for a sale or something if somebody has like a 15 or 20% off sale. If you feel like it's not worth the full price, that's up to you. Your mileage is going to vary. Personally, I don't regret picking it up. I still really enjoy the figure because it's very G1 and it's a character and a toy that I remember really liking as a kid. So to me, the hips are not as big of a deal. I was prepared for them going in. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you picked this guy up, if how the hips affected you, the canopy cover or the cockpit cover, what you guys think about it, let me know. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Titans Return Deluxe SkullSmasher from the Transformers Generations line. And thanks so much for watching.